My name is Selena.
And my name's Theoni, and you are listening to Piping Hot.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Piping Hot. We are your hosts, if you didn't know.
Wow, that was a really good intro, and
Thanks.
I think you should do that every time. Wow, I am all over the place today. Like, I feel like I'm so tired, but I'm also really hyper. I don't know how that combination makes sense, but that's how I feel. And I also feel like I'm just trying to get myself back on a sleep routine, and I had my first week of work this week, and so I'm trying to get used to all of that, so
yes.
No,
because I had a long weekend because of the 4th, and every single day I woke up at 10 a.m. I try not to sleep in because I like to wake up, drink coffee, read a book. I just take my time. But because I was on break, I was like, I'm just gonna sleep in.
And then you get back into your routine and you're like, I regret that.
Yes.
Why are our bodies like that? I even learned about that in one of our classes where it's it's much better for you to always stay on the same routine than jump around.
I know.
And it's can I just sleep in one day? I slept in today. My sleeping in is 8 a.m. because that's late for me. But I got up and I was I don't even know what year it is. I just didn't know what was going on. And I had the weirdest dream. I wish I had recorded it because I don't remember what it was about. Yeah. But I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was I just dreamt some weird stuff. And I woke up and I was shook, but I don't remember what it is. I really don't.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I've heard that sticking to a schedule is more helpful than changing it every here and there. But every single time I get onto a routine or a schedule or something, I want to sleep in for one day or something, and then it's just all thrown out the window, and I'm like, okay,
right,
whatever.
Literally. Sorry, I wanted to sleep.
Yes,
okay, whatever. But how's your week been, dude? Anything crazy?
No, it's been good. I had Monday through Wednesday off. We didn't really do much for the 4th, which is fine, though. So I was able to, clean the house, get my life organized, and all of that stuff. So it was nice just to have a couple of days of, not running around and just, staying home, cleaning, getting stuff done. So it felt, very productive.
No, I feel like my sister actually said the same thing. For the 4th, she didn't. Well, I think she did something. Yeah, no, she did do something for the 4th. But sometimes it's just nice when you actually have time off to get your life back together. Yes. I think that's just being what an adult is, honestly.
Really, it's really boring. It's really boring. What about you? How was your 4th? How was your weekend?
So I celebrated the 4th on the 3rd. So I went to my friend's family's house outside of the city, and they have a pool and stuff, so we sat by the pool and we watched movies and had lots of good snacks, and then we slept over there and then sat by the pool a little in the morning, and then the 4th was kind of me just getting my life together before I started work the next day. So that's why I didn't want to do anything too crazy, but I've never felt my family was really big into celebrating the 4th of July. We would watch fireworks or do whatever, but it was just never a big thing for us. I feel like it is for some people. So.
Oh yeah. Well, when we were little, my family, we were huge into fireworks and doing the sparklers and the little thingies that you can race the cars or what, I don't know. We were really, really into that. Nice. But I think it's kind of tapered down as we've gotten older. But now I know that I'm old because I'm people need to stop setting off fireworks because I have 2 dogs. And also it's just annoying as hell. So I was just can everyone just stop? Why are we doing it 2 days before? Why are we doing it 2 days after?
Literally.
That's unnecessary.
Okay, what are you drinking today?
Today, I am drinking the tea that you left at my house, the vanilla bean macaron. I haven't tasted it yet because it's still kind of hot, and I was I don't know, but this is a live tasting.
Oh my gosh, you guys, drum roll. What did you think?
So it definitely smells a lot sweeter than it tastes. And I agree that it tastes like watered down almost.
Yeah.
Like it's weird, but it's not sweet. I don't know.
No, exactly. It's really, really weird. Like, I didn't know how I felt about it. It just wasn't like, I drink tea to like have a little flavor, just like calm or like whatever. I don't know. I just didn't love it.
I mean, I don't hate it, but I don't think I would do it again because it's I don't know. For me personally, I lean more towards like the herbal teas and like all of the like the eucalyptus, the peppermint, all that stuff. So this is like really weird to do. Something really sweet. So
yeah, very out of your regular.
Yes. What about you? What are you drinking?
I'm actually drinking a new one too. It's called Stress Relief by Yogi. It's really
You almost had me.
Good.
You almost had me. You had me in the first half.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to go buy some more teas. I have barely been to the grocery store since I've been back in Boston. I might make a little trip before I go to see the new Elvis movie later. But
okay.
Yeah, but Stress Relief is where it's at today.
Nice. Yeah, I was like in the same situation as you where like me and Jack didn't have any food for like the past week. And we just went to Costco and got so much food.
Yes.
And it's just like nice to like restock. It's like, but
Costco is a magical, magical place.
It really is.
Oh, the world needs to be more like Costco. You want to know why? The food prices have stayed the same. And guess what? Costco is just fine. Let's talk about it. Anyways, so the first thing that I was sad to see, actor James Cann passed away on Wednesday, July 6th. He was the dad in Elf. That's like what our generation knows it as. Not Buddy's dad.
The other.
You know the dad.
What other dad?
Walter Hobbs.
You're not my dad. Just kidding.
No.
Just kidding. Let me look it up.
Like one of the biggest actors of the 70s and I think he was in The Godfather.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know his face.
Yes. Yeah. Why did you say not Buddy's dad? Or did you say
because
it was
it's
Buddy's
not
dad?
Buddy's dad.
What do you mean?
That's like that's Buddy. Oh, it is Buddy's dad.
Yes.
His bio dad. It's Buddy's bio dad. But I always think of Buddy's dad as Papa Elf. I sound like such a nerd right now. God. I want to cry. It's Papa Elf, okay?
Theoni, I was so confused. I was like, I have seen that movie multiple times. Yeah. I think I know who Buddy's dad is.
I'm such a failure. Like, that's literally like my favorite Christmas movie ever. And I'm like, that's not Buddy's dad. And it's literally Buddy's dad.
I was like, what other dad? There's only one. Okay, anyways. sorry. Anyways, okay, I know who you're talking about.
So anyways, he died.
Oh my God. We are a hot mess today.
I know. Okay.
Oh my God.
Well, my other pop culture thing. Have you heard all the drama going on between Doja Cat and Noah Schnapp?
Yes, that was my pop culture.
Okay.
Thing.
I feel the same way as you where I don't really care about it, but I will say Doja is being a little unfair about it, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think number one, I think Noah is how old?
17.
Yeah, so first of all, he's a 17-year-old boy, okay? And he got this DM from this artist he probably really likes and was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. And he was like, oh, I'll post this, whatever. But then Doja's out here calling him a snake, like all this stuff. And I'm like, I can understand where you're like, oh, that's like embarrassing. But I also feel like she's the kind of person who totally could have just owned it and it would have been a big deal. But she's like coming after him in a really mean way. She wasn't like, oh, that was like embarrassing, but whatever. It is what it is now. She made it into this really almost like malicious thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
I guarantee he didn't, which maybe isn't fair, but like he probably didn't even think about it. And I also really don't think that's a big deal. Like, I thought it was a cute DM.
Me too. I saw Noah's video on TikTok too, and I thought it was just so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's Doja. That's so funny. And then I saw that she did a whole live addressing it. I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Like, I thought it was cute. And too, she's been like tweeting about the guy, Joseph, and been like commenting about him like constantly since season 4 of Stranger Things has come out. So it's like I wasn't surprised to see her DM Noah about it. I don't know. I just felt like it was very like on brand for her because she's been talking about Joseph for so much now that it's just like normal. But it was weird that then she like went after Noah for it. I was like, girl, you were talking about him like literally all the time.
And she says a lot of stuff all the time about people, so I just don't, I don't know, that made me, and now of course people are coming after Doja being like, oh, you guys are finally realizing this and this about her and she's fake and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I think we all just need to like be done. Like this isn't,
it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. What I heard though, again, I haven't deep dived into this because I don't care, but just reading the comments on TikToks that I've seen and stuff, it's that the reason why she cares is that she might have a boyfriend, which is why it looks bad for her.
Oh.
So, I mean, in a sense, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But also, like, you don't need to publicly shame a 17-year-old. He's like,
okay,
a kid.
but like, I get, but then still, even if it's her with the boyfriend,
why is she
still
asking?
On you?
Exactly. Why is
that's
she asking?
not bad. So then you're just mad at someone for exposing you for something you shouldn't be asking about.
Yeah, in the first place. Yeah. So, I mean.
So either way, I'm like, okay, Doja. But anyways, so that's all I have for pop culture.
Yeah, that was basically it for mine too. Yeah, it was kind of a quiet week.
It was a quiet week, but it wasn't quiet when Thor Love and Thunder premiered, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes, I saw it last night.
I saw it Thursday night, so
nice.
Like premiere night, and I have so much to say.
Okay.
Do you?
I do too. I was trying to just like remember all of my thoughts as I was watching from last night.
So I want to know what you thought overall.
So knee-jerk reaction, overall, it was better than Doctor Strange. But I thought Ragnarok was better than Love and Thunder. But that's just because I'm very, very biased towards Ragnarok. Like, I love that movie. Like, that is like so, that's like up in my top 5 of like Marvel movies that they've made. So I think I'm a little biased. But I thought it was fun. I liked it. Again, I wasn't surprised what it was because it's the same director. It's the same kind of tone, kind of humor and stuff. So I wasn't surprised going into the theater and watching this movie. But overall, I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was cute. What are your thoughts?
I literally loved it. Like, I would say if I'm looking at like all of my favorite movies in the MCU, it's like kind of up there. I feel like yes, and I feel like I need to see it again to like fully be able to confidently say it's like one of my top 5s. But I just like thought it was so well done because it was trying to be more of a comedy movie, right?
Yeah.
But I thought it like totally succeeded in that. And I also thought the acting was so good. Like Christian Bale as the God Butcher, his acting was phenomenal. Like, this is why I feel like, I mean, we kind of talked about this before about why like Marvel movies are allowed to be nominated. I feel like they should be able to be nominated because that was like some fantastic acting on his part. And like he was so menacing and creepy and like awful, but like at the same time I felt so horrible for him. Like, he was like one of the most well-balanced villains I thought that I've seen in a while, but I don't know. Maybe that's because I loved it, but
his acting was phenomenal. I just wanted a little bit more background on his motive and stuff. I mean, obviously we did get a good 10 minutes at the beginning, but I will say he's pretty much tied up there with Shang-Chi's dad, because I thought he was a phenomenal villain, and I think they're both tied because I love, again, Christian Bale, his acting, perfect, which I love him too, so.
Wow. You would put them at the same, you would put God Butcher at the same level as Shang-Chi's dad?
Yes, but in a sense where he's not violent. Because God Butcher is really, really violent, right? But I feel like Shang-Chi's dad had a better background / complex motive, if that makes sense.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay.
The one thing I will say that I appreciated, because I feel like the God Butcher was so violent, I felt like the comedy balanced with it was almost needed, because for example, you had the God Butcher in a movie made like Multiverse of Madness was, where it was so dark, I feel like it would have been so depressing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's always hard for me when I just love a movie, because I'm just it can do no wrong. And it's hard for me to look at it critically, but I just thought it was the perfect balance of comedy, and you had romance, and you had family, and you had scary. I just really loved it.
I agree, and I think it goes back to Christian Bale's performance, because this movie was a lot of comedy, but going back to Christian Bale's character, he really held his own in a comedy movie that was supposed to be funny and lighthearted. When he was on screen, that all went away, which I loved it so much.
So just a random couple things that I really liked. So I thought it was really cool how Chris Hemsworth, Taika Waititi, and Natalie Portman and Christian Bale's kids were all involved. Because obviously there's a lot of kids in the movie. So how the kids in the cage and all of that.
Yeah.
A lot of them were their kids.
Wait.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
So adorable?
I did not even notice. That's adorable.
Yeah. It's so cute. And Christian Bale's daughter in the movie and all of that at the end. When love or whatever.
Wait, that's Christian Bale's daughter.
No, that's Chris Hemsworth's daughter.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You're lying to me.
That's his daughter.
No, so you're lying to me.
No, I'm not lying.
I'm going to Google it right the frick now.
She doesn't believe me, you guys.
Okay, I think it's definitely her.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know, because I told you, Selena. Oh my gosh, wait. That's freaking adorable. She did so good.
She did so good, and it made me love it even more. And I was watching
that's so cute. As I'm thinking about the end, I don't want to jump, but I'm thinking about the end and their cute little interaction. Wait, that's so adorable. How old is she?
I don't know, but I was watching an interview with Taika and Chris, and they were saying, they made a joke. They're like, oh yeah, we used our kids. It's cheap labor. They don't know how much they're supposed to be. And it was so funny. But also, I think when you have that many actors with kids, what a cute thing to be able to include them in the project in a small way, you know?
Yeah, because this freaking franchise Chris has been a part of for so long. It's been so long. She's 10 years old, which the first Thor movie probably came out just a little bit before she was born. Isn't that crazy?
That's got to be kind of a full circle moment for him, almost,
Oh my god, wait, I love that. What the
Isn't
heck?
That so cute? I know. It's literally so cute.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. Okay.
I know. And then, also just one thing that I really liked was that Korg was the narrator throughout. I freaking love Korg. I think he's so funny, and I just thought for what they were going for, they could not have chosen anyone better for that purpose.
Yes, it was so funny when I realized that he would be narrating this entire movie. I was like, that's perfect. He is such a fan favorite, but he makes the movie so funny too, which again is the big the big point of this movie. They were trying to make it very, very, very comedic. But it was just so funny. Like, here's the story of Thor or whatever. I just like the way that he would like insert himself, like when he's narrating, was just so funny too.
I know.
It was really, really good. Again, we already said that this movie was funny as hell. And I also thought it was very campy. Like, it was just like, I don't know. It just had that vibe. But I will say sometimes it was bordering it a little too much for me in some scenes, which I'll mention later. But again, it's like what I expected from the movie. So I'm like, I wasn't that surprised. Overall, it was still a really great movie.
Totally. And I was going to say, like, in response to that, I feel like I agree. Some jokes didn't quite land. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I felt like because it was more fast paced, I felt like the film, I felt like it didn't deter too much. Whereas, like, I felt like if it was way drawn out, I would have been like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The other thing, too, is that...
Uh-oh.
I was just like sitting there watching the movie, just again, because remember, it was really funny and really campy. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, the director, Taika Waititi, I'm saying his name right? Okay.
I think so.
It's so interesting how he got approval for this movie, because these Marvel movies go through so much planning and so many reviews and so many storyboards because they all have to build to something greater. But this movie was so funny and so outrageous that I was just sitting there. I was like, who at Marvel approved this movie? Like, it's crazy because it's so different. It's so different than what we're used to.
I know. And I was thinking the same thing, too, actually. Like, I don't know, but I think a big part of it, too, is because, number one, Chris Hemsworth even talked about this in one of his interviews. Like, he's being given way more creative control with his character, and like he executive produced this film. But also, I think because Ragnarok did so well, that they were like, clearly this chemistry or whatever you guys are doing together works. So like, go for it.
Yeah, this is the angle that we're gonna go now because we know it's successful. Which totally, like, that's totally fine. I just thought it was really funny because I'm like, this is like really crazy and outrageous. Like, I wonder, because I wonder, it's like they're like approving Shang-Chi, right? Which again is kind of funny, but it has kind of a darker tone to its like overall story. And then you have like Thor: Love and Thunder. That's just like freaking ridiculous. It's so funny. Like, I
know. And I even look at like Multiverse of Madness and then this right after it. I was like, they could not be more vastly different. But I feel like I feel like this movie helped me be like gung-ho about Marvel again after not loving Multiverse of Madness. But again, I think because they want to keep Marvel going, obviously, and it's a huge franchise, I actually appreciate that they're trying different things. And of course, sometimes it's going to land, sometimes it's not going to. But like, I think if they kept making the same kind of movies, it might get a little boring. So like doing something that's a little darker, or doing something that's like way more comedic, like helps keep it fresh.
I agree. I think the thing too is that this is now going to allow other movies to speak more to the characters that they are in the comics, because I think Thor is very comedic in the comics. Like, he is very campy, so which is why Ragnarok was the way that it was, and why Love and Thunder was so funny as well, which I'm very excited. And I think they just have to be smart on what angle they go for, because like again, another great example is Guardians of the Galaxy. So funny. Love that entire like you know, that group. But if you look at like if Daredevil has a movie, or if he comes back into the MCU, I wouldn't really expect him to have a funny storyline, because his story is very, very dark.
100%. And I don't want them to like force it. It has to make sense for the story.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So the one thing, so just kind of going into like the plot line of the movie, it's hard for me not to compare Multiverse of Madness and this one, just because they came out relatively close to each other. But the one thing I will say, I really like that they started out with the scene of like the villain and his daughter and like all of that, because I know you said like you wanted more backstory, and I totally get that now that you're saying that, but I appreciated that they started with that. So then when they started talking about the villain, I felt scared, or I felt the sympathy, or I felt the
Yeah.
motivation behind that. So like it made more sense to me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a smart way to start the movie, honestly.
I agree too. Again, love Christian Bale. Love him so much. So I was really excited to see him in this movie. And I guess what I'm saying is that his background and his motive is, like, I totally understand it. And they did a great job of giving us that first 10 minutes before we even got to Thor. Of, you know, telling us about this villain. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that his villain is more so two-dimensional compared to other three-dimensional villains that we've seen, like Shang-Chi's father. I guess I would say that Thanos is kind of a little two-dimensional too, except with Infinity War, when, spoiler alert, he kills Gamora, is the only kind of aspect I see of him being three-dimensional, kind of having that, like, battle within himself.
No, 100%. And I agree. And I think where it came around for the God Butcher was at the very end.
Yes.
When Thor's talking to him and
Yes.
you can see the regret on his face. Oh,
Yeah.
It gives me, honestly, I just got chills talking about that because that whole scene blew my mind. And again, the acting was so good that it felt so real.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen Christian Bale in a ton, to be honest, but, like, I am a fan after this. Like, I can't speak him enough praises. Like,
Okay.
his skills are insane.
You have to watch the Dark Knight trilogy by Christopher Nolan. So good. So freaking good. Like, oh my God.
Is he
Like,
Batman?
Yes, Christian Bale is Batman. And, like, again, I am not like a DC girl, but I will die on a hill for those movies. They're so good. They're so freaking good. And Christian Bale does a great job. And also it's Christopher Nolan. Like, you know you're going to be in a good...
He's the one who did Titanic, right? No. That's James Cann. Wait, what?
He did Inception.
Oh my God. The first time I watched that movie, I fell asleep for 10 minutes and I woke up and I was like, what dimension or time are we, like, what is happening?
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it because how?
Wait, how many times have you seen Inception? Like once? Just that one
once minus 10 minutes.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
when I come to Boston, we have to watch it. I've seen that movie like 5 times.
Do you understand it now?
Yes, and I can help walk you through, because I was really confused as well, but the thing is that I was watching with people who had already seen it. So they were explaining
helps.
to me as I was watching it. I was like, "Oh, that makes sense, all that stuff." And it's just like so good. Also, it's so funny because, like, we watched it for my English class in high school and we, like, dissected it and, like, all of that. Yeah, it was so cool.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, villains. We're talking about villains.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, too, a two-dimensional villain is fine. That's usually what villains are. Like, I feel like the Joker, you could say, is a two-dimensional villain. I know a lot of people might hate me for that, but I'm not saying that two-dimensional is bad. I'm just saying that sometimes, especially in movies, when you don't have a lot of time to talk about a villain and you're looking at a hero's perspective, of course you're not going to get an in-depth on a villain. So that's my spiel.
I totally understand that, but I also feel like I really felt sympathy for the God Butcher.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And even I've been hearing some negative reviews about Thor Love and Thunder, actually.
Yeah.
I've been hearing things all across the board, but it's just interesting how two people can watch a movie and just feel totally different about it. Or, like, you know, anyways, just interesting. Okay, how did you feel about Thor with the Guardians at the beginning?
Okay, I love that we started there because, again, that's how we ended Endgame, and I really, like, wanted to see how, like, their dynamic would be.
Sure.
But I don't know. I guess it was fine. I knew it wasn't a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so I like expected that they wouldn't be in it for a really long time. But it was nice seeing them. Nice to know that they're doing okay after Endgame, you know? I will say I thought they did a great job at showing the dynamic between Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy in that very, very tiny scene that we got with Peter, like, mouthing Thor's speech because like he's done it so many times, and I thought it was so funny because it's like, you don't have to give us an entire movie to tell us their dynamic and their routines and stuff. Like, they already they like know each other so well, and just that little hint was just hilarious.
I agree, and I thought that beginning scene with the Guardians, like, that really set the tone for the movie. So they're like, this is what you're gonna get. And I was like, okay, I can be on board for that. And then at the end of this beginning scene with Guardians, we get introduced to one of the biggest parts of the movie, the goats. I thought the goats were so funny. It was so stupid, and I thought I was gonna be annoyed about it every time I heard it, but it always killed me. I thought it was so funny.
I was like, this is so freaking random. Like,
so
what the
random.
heck?
Like, why?
Yeah, but I did think it was really funny, and I expected it from Love and Thunder, and like I wasn't surprised. I was just like, this is so random. Like, oh my gosh. I loved it though. I thought it was hilarious. I don't know why. I think it's just because like I think it's because Infinity War messed me up and Endgame messed me up because there were so many different superheroes we were focusing on that I keep forgetting that like Thor is super fucking powerful. Like,
he's so powerful.
I know. He went in with that first scene with Guardians of the Galaxy. They're struggling. He comes up, does his speech, and just like wipes them out. And I'm like,
so easy.
That's all you had to do. And I was like, oh wait. Yeah, no, he's Thor. Like, of course. And I think that's the Infinity War and Endgame messed me up because I'm focusing on Captain America, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, like all of these other characters, and I'm like, oh, yeah, Thor exists. Like, I forgot that he's really powerful.
People, and I think that's hard when there's so many superheroes. You forget how powerful they are. And sometimes when I think about that so much, I think about like, how could it have been that hard to have that many crazy powerful people up against one thumb-looking villain?
Yes,
you know, like, that makes no sense.
It puts everything back into perspective because I'm like, okay, it's Thanos. It's like one guy. He has an army. Like, what are we doing, you guys? Come on. But I'm like, oh wait, just kidding. He's like really, really powerful. Okay, sorry. I have like the weirdest, randomest little detailed notes.
No, that's okay.
So again, I love that like in Ragnarok, Taika Waititi is like so known for like these slow-mo shots of Thor like jumping up, like literally. So there were so many shots of that, and I love that because I feel like it's such an epic shot. But I have to say, nothing will beat Thor's entrance in Infinity War when he like lands in Wakanda.
I don't remember that.
Theoni, you have to go. I watched that scene, but with a live audience because like there are some people who record it in the theaters and people are like cheering and it gets me so hyped. I think I might have to watch it after this.
Yeah.
But it's so good. I was like,
I have to go back and watch it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like I think his entrances are phenomenal. But one thing, remember when I said like this movie was like very campy and funny, but it went a little too far for me?
Oh boy.
The whole split thing that he did between the two ships. I was like, no, honey, I'm sorry.
I thought that was freaking hilarious.
No.
I was like dying laughing.
I was like, this is ridiculous. You're a god of thunder. Why are you doing splits between these two ships? Just kill them.
I didn't even care. I thought it was so funny. I don't know. Again, it's like, yes, I get what you're saying, but I was just like along for the ride. I'm like, again, if you're gonna go for this campy movie, why the frick not have Thor do splits in between two alien ships? You know, why not have goats screaming? You know what I mean? Like, and then we get the scene of Sif calling for his help, and so then he goes to where Sif is and sees her with her arm literally chopped off. And she's like, New Asgard is next. Like, he's coming to them next. And I love that we got a little glimpse of her. In the comics, apparently Thor ends up with Sif.
Oh, really? Wait,
yes.
Maybe I knew that.
Yeah. which I didn't know that until my roommate told me yesterday. But I'm so curious, since Thor's gonna return, I wonder if they're gonna play that up. Because they gave us a glimpse of her, but they didn't make her a focus, obviously.
Yes. I'm intrigued about that too, because I thought she was done, you know?
So did I was like, okay.
I think she was in Ragnarok. Yes, she was, because she fought their sister. But she was also in Loki. So I was like, oh, she's still relevant. And then I saw that she was in this movie. I was like, oh, they're like stringing her along. Like maybe something's going to happen with her, which is very exciting because, again, she's one of the OGs with Thor all the way back to the first movie.
Which I think, especially with the trajectory he's been on, you know, like this movie was about finding his confidence and all of that again. I honestly think it would make sense for him to like end up with her with the romantic side of it. You know what I mean?
It would make sense. And also, I don't know. I just feel like he deserves happiness at this point, which I'll talk about at the end. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. I just wanted to talk about Jane and just her little bit of like the background that we got, that she had cancer and that it was stage 4 cancer, and she was acting so nonchalant about it. I was like, girly, you're like on a clock. Like, that is not anything to joke about. Like, holy crap. Another thing too, the same way that we were talking about how they're bringing back characters, I love that they brought back Darcy. Because Darcy was in WandaVision, and she wasn't in Ragnarok, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It wouldn't have made sense if Jane wasn't there. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I was really happy that they brought back Darcy because she was in WandaVision, which then prompted me. I was like, oh, is she going to be in Thor Love and Thunder? And she was. So again, it just kind of makes me think of like, okay, well, is she going to have a greater role in all of this? Which 100%. Makes me so excited because I think she's so hilarious.
Well, again, it's like I feel like they're giving us these glimpses of these little characters that we don't really think about. But then again, it's like I feel like they're trying to lead up to another Endgame, Infinity Wars-esque, or even a new Avengers, whatever. So it's like I feel like they're keeping us, like, reminding us that these characters are still there for a reason.
Yep, which I really like, because I don't want to... I don't want to like rule them out because like maybe they are still around, and when they do pop up in movies, I'm like, oh yeah, they're definitely still around. So it did break my heart to see that Jane was doing her own freaking experiments on her blood to like see. I was like, oh my, like I couldn't even imagine just like trying to find a cure for yourself so you could live. Like, oh my gosh. One thing I will say, though, I was very confused why she just, like, suddenly, like, went to, like, the Viking book. Like, it was so kind of random. Like, I guess I could argue, like, I guess I could see that she was, like, at her end's rope. She was just, like, really desperate because, like, nothing was working. So she was like, oh, my God, okay, let's just, like, look at this Viking book. But it was just, like, I don't know, kind of random, I guess, in my opinion.
Well, I think the reason why she thought to go to the Viking book was because Darcy said something to her about, what about going to Thor for help? And she's like, oh, I can't play that card. So then I think that put that seed in her head. So she's like, oh, whatever, Darcy, I'll look at the book. And then it went from there, obviously.
Yeah, okay,
so that's what I saw the connection being.
I guess when Darcy said that, I was like, oh, maybe just to tell Thor that she's dying. Like,
yeah, literally.
That nothing to like save her, of just like letting Thor know that he was dying. I guess I didn't see that like he could help her in a way, but okay, that makes sense.
So I think that just planted the seed.
Got it. Okay. I'm sorry. When the pieces of Mjolnir, I don't know how to say the hammer. Mjolnir?
Have you seen that video of all? So there's like, I think it was promo for Endgame, and it was having all of like these different superheroes try to pronounce. It was like, okay, what is Thor's hammer called? And everyone's like Mignon, and then Paul Rudd comes on the screen and he goes, Jonathan.
Oh yes,
so funny.
I have seen that video.
So to me, that hammer's name is Jonathan.
Okay, let's call him Jonathan from now on. Thank you, Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Okay, Jonathan, a.k.a. Thor's old hammer in Ragnarok. When the pieces started to respond to her when she went to New Asgard, I was like, what the heck? I was like, this doesn't make any sense because we know, right, in Avengers Age of Ultron, no one can pick up the hammer unless you are worthy, which is why we saw Captain America, the only other person who could wield it and even got like a little bit of an inch of it in Age of Ultron. So when the hammer literally started responding to her, I was like, what the heck? I thought it was a little too convenient of a plot hole to do that, but we get an explanation later, which I get. But in that moment, I was like, are you kidding me? This is so weird.
I know. I felt the same way. I was like, how convenient that all of a sudden she finds the hammer right when she needs it. And I think, if you don't mind, we can talk about the excuse for it now.
The flashback.
Yeah.
That Korg takes us through.
Korg takes us through this flashback of like Jane and Thor's relationship, with honestly, I think I needed that because you know I never was a fan of Thor and Jane. Like I was just like, I don't feel like they have chemistry. Like I'm not buying into it. And so I thought it was really funny and really cute and gave us an insight into their relationship. But then are you going to say something?
I was just going to say I liked it too because it gave us a bridge for what we needed between Thor 2 and Thor 3. Because if you remember, Ragnarok comes right off of Age of Ultron, I think. And Jane is like not mentioned at all. And we know in Thor 2, they left in a really bad spot. So I was like, well, what the heck happened? No one talked about it. She wasn't in any of the Avengers movies. So it was really nice to see them like be normal and kind of see like where things fell apart.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then basically the explanation that we get is that Thor had whispered to his hammer like, you always have to take care of her, or you always have to do what it takes or whatever. And so that's why the hammer called to her when she needed it the most.
Which a part of me is like, okay, bullshit. But then another part of me is like, okay, well, he's the god of thunder. It's his hammer. Like, I guess. And like, we're dealing with all these like magical beings. So I'm like, at that point, when we got the flashback, I was like, okay, fine. I will give you that plot point. Like, it's fine.
Right? No, I thought it was nice. And I was glad to at least get some explanation. Because if that hadn't been there, I would have been like, okay, that is a stretch that I'm not buying into.
I was like, well, maybe she's worthy because she's done research and did good for the world. But then I'm like, well, what about all the other people and stuff? Like, so, I was happy that we got an explanation.
Okay, so back to when they go to New Asgard, right?
Yes.
I love seeing Valkyrie, like, just in her role as the president or the king.
The king.
And she's just living her life. And I love how she's dressed so casually, like,
I know.
just like a normal, like, I don't know. I just loved seeing the dynamic of New Asgard before they got attacked.
Yes. I just love her so much in general, too. Like, I fell in love with her in Ragnarok, and I'm so happy that she got a bigger role in Thor Love and Thunder as well.
Me
like,
too.
Just love her.
She was cast so well, too. Like, the actress Tessa Thompson does such a fantastic job in that role.
Amazing.
Okay, so what did you think of the battle?
I thought it was a good first battle with, you know, the villain meeting the hero for the first time. I thought it was a really good entrance. I love the dynamic between Thor and Jane, because it's like, it's been 8 years and so many months and this many minutes since they've last been together. So it was really interesting how their reunion was in the battle, which I think made everything so much more heightened, like tension wise and emotionally wise. I will say my jaw fucking dropped when the pieces of Jonathan, aka Thor's old hammer, went off and then came back to Jane. I was like, since when?
Literally, since when is that a thing? But maybe that's a new power that it's been able to do since it got broken.
Yes. I was like, that is so badass. So cool. Like,
so cool. And
so
the way he
awesome.
goes, Jane? And then they're like talking. It's like this raging battle's going on behind him. I thought it was so funny.
Like, oh my God. And I just like, I thought Jane and her entrance was so awesome as well. Like, damn. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay.
I thought that it made a lot of sense that he took the kids because that's what was taken from him. So it's almost like an eye for an eye situation. You know what I mean? So I thought that
Full
that
circle.
made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then obviously they have the meeting house scene where they're trying to come up with a plan, and Thor's giving his whole speech thing once again. And I just loved the dynamic between Thor, Jane, Valkyrie, and Korg. Like, they're just a funny group, you know?
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's so funny, too, because it's like, I expected that from him because, remember, he was supposed to be a king. Like, he was supposed to rule Asgard. So, of course, he has this, leadership, and he has this voice that everyone wants to listen to. I just thought it was really funny because, he was trying to, get back into his old role, and then he left, and then Stormbreaker was like, nope, you're not going anywhere, and just, put him back in New Asgard. Oh, also talking about Stormbreaker, I thought it was hilarious that Stormbreaker kept getting jealous throughout the entire movie.
And the way he has a relationship with these weapons was so funny. There's one part on the ship when he's talking to Jonathan, just being or the hammer, and he's like, don't be jealous, or why did you, it's just his own breakup with the hammer.
I know, it's so funny because it's I see that you've gotten a new user and you look so good, and Stormbreaker's out there trying to get them to places. Of course Stormbreaker is jealous. I think it's hilarious.
So funny.
Okay, another random thing. I just have so many different random things. I don't remember if it's either before this or after this, but I know it's somewhere in the beginning. The freaking plays that they put in these movies are hilarious. I live for them.
My theater I was in all clapped when Matt Damon, and who's the other actor in that?
So, you know what's funny? That's Chris Hemsworth's older brother.
Yes, Luke Hemsworth.
Yes.
That's who it is. Okay, that's what I thought. I was I know it's someone. So, first of all, I yelped and then when frickin' Melissa McCarthy, she's like, I am Hela. I lost it. The
so
fact
funny
that Melissa McCarthy, of all people, found her way into the MCU that way killed me. I thought it's so funny. And then when they're doing their bows on stage, you see Melissa McCarthy's husband next to her bowing.
Oh, and really?
Ben.
I did not see that.
Falcone.
Yeah.
I forget how to pronounce his last name. But he was also in it bowing with her, which I thought was just so fun.
So hilarious. I know. And then it's funny too, because then after this whole debacle of Gore coming in and taking the kids and stuff, they have the audacity to be like, we need a play. This is what we need to put on. I was like, right now? No. Right now is not a good time.
But again, it was so funny. It's those little details that I'm
so hilarious.
How did you even think to add that? That's freaking hilarious, dude.
It's so funny. Oh my god.
I love it so much.
I live for the plays.
Literally
me too. So I guess I didn't know what to expect. Seeing Jane drop the hammer and then her going back to her real mortal body, it literally tripped me up because I was like, wait, I thought you were healed, but then it took me a while to realize that the hammer wasn't actually healing her mortal body. She had two different bodies when wielding the hammer, and I was like, oh my god, she's not getting any better. She looks worse.
I know, and that's the thing which I didn't expect. I thought initially that having the hammer was curing her or giving her a new body, basically, and then if you took away the power, then she would quickly decline. Yes. I didn't think that it was going to use all of her energy, so that I thought was so interesting.
It was very interesting, and I was like, oh, I did not see that coming. I guess I didn't expect that was the path to get healthy or whatever.
I agree. Then we go to omnipotent, however they pronounce it.
I don't know.
In our accents, we call it omnipotent, but I don't know how they pronounce it in their accents. Yeah. But I was so sad sad when Zeus was mean. Like, I love my mythology. I love my Greek. I mean.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But he was a total a-hole. Yeah. Like, he was the worst. And, like, I mean, it definitely was, like, in a funny way. But, like, I was like, really, dude? Like, I was so sad. Like, I actually thought maybe they would work together or, like, he would help. I didn't expect it to go poorly like it did. Yeah. But that scene just took a turn so fast.
So fast. Like, I was like, what is happening right now? Like, oh, my God.
I really thought Korg was dead.
I almost cried. I almost cried in the stupid theater.
I know. We all, like, I looked around me and all of us were like.
Yeah.
Like, we could not. We're like, there's no way. Like, Thor can't lose another person. Like, Korg is literally all he has left, kind of.
Yeah. But then, of course, because it's the movie, it was like, oh, I'm still here. It's just my face. I was like, Korg, God damn it.
Literally. So funny. I was shocked when Thor killed Zeus. I did not think that was going to happen.
I gasped so loud in the movie theater. It was kind of embarrassing because it happened so fast and he just whipped it. And I was like, oh, that just went through Zeus. Like, holy shit.
I thought maybe something to, like, put him down long enough for them to get out of there or to get the Thunderbolt or something.
But nope.
I was shook. I was truly shook. What else do you have about that scene?
Nothing for that scene, but before, I just remembered something that I wanted to say before as they were, like, walking up to the arena. Another, like, cringe thing that they were trying to, like, make funny was, like, when Jane was talking about her catchphrases. I was
I agree. I was not buying it.
I was like, no, you don't need a catch. Jane, you're literally a doctor. Why do you need a catchphrase? Like, stop. But, like, I don't know. I thought that was, like, a little weird for me, but.
I know this sounds bad, but I feel like some of the comedic parts that were forced were Jane's parts.
Yeah.
Because I just also don't feel like that totally fits her character.
Exactly.
Like, the comedic parts, it fits Korg. It fits Thor. Mm-hmm. Like, Valkyrie is incredibly sarcastic like that and pushes people's buttons. Yeah. That makes sense. For Jane, I was like, I don't think of her as, like, the funny, like, dorky person like that,
I mean, we've seen in the first two movies that she's very serious. She's a go-getter. She knows what she wants and stuff. So I think it was just weird to see her pivot to this comedic side. I think it was just too much where I couldn't believe it. Because, like, she did have some funny lines that I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But, like, this instance, for example, I was like, that's too much.
Totally. I actually 100% agree with you there. Yeah. I also just have to mention Chris Hemsworth is built. Like, when his toga came flying off, I don't want to objectify him, but he looks good. Okay.
He looks so good. Like, it's crazy to think that he's been doing these movies for over a span of, like, 10 years and he still looks like that.
I know.
Sir.
Like,
so good.
I was walking out of the theater with my friends last night and one of my friends was like, she said the same thing. She's like, I don't want to objectify him. But, like, thinking about the fact that his wife just gets to touch his body all over the place. And I was like, I mean, you're right, though. Like,
yeah.
Okay, also, I could be skipping ahead. I don't know the first part when this happens, but I love that the way that Thor communicates with the kids in the cage is through Heimdall's son. I thought that was such, like, a special, like, beautiful moment. Like, I was not expecting that, but I just thought that was so special and really just, like, the way that Thor took care of him and, like, treated him like a leader in both, like, the cages and another part later on. I just thought was really, really
it just
full
made
circle.
It made me so happy because, like, well, we know that, like, Heimdall died at the beginning of Infinity War, literally so abruptly, and we get to see him live through his kid, and I was like not expecting that, but I was like, oh my god, wait, that's Heimdall's kid. That's like so awesome. I thought it was so funny when they were arguing. They're like, my name's Axel. And Thor's like, no, Heimdall gave you a really Asgardian name, Astrid. I'm going to call you Astrid. He's like, Axel. It's Axel. I was like, you go, kid.
I know, right? He's like, this is my name. But again, Thor's interactions with kids throughout the movie are so good. And like, is it after this scene where we get the scene with Gore and the kids and he's like, I'm doing this and blah, blah, blah. And they're all like, and he's like, but you're scared of me, a god, but not of this god. And they're like, but Thor's nice or whatever. Was that after this?
I think it is after, or if it's before they like actually go to the like the dark planet or whatever. But I do remember that scene and it was very interesting what he was saying. Okay, one more thing in that like city with Zeus and whatever. I thought it was interesting that they could pick up Zeus's lightning bolt. I was like, oh, that's it. Maybe because we're so accustomed to like, oh my God, like no one can pick up Thor's hammer. You got to be worthy, yada, yada, yada. So it was just like, oh, maybe anyone can pick up Zeus's lightning bolt, even though he's the freaking god. Like, I guess. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I guess I don't, which I should be ashamed for this, I don't know the original mythology, but when I think of Zeus and Hercules, I always think of the animated musical one that Disney did. And in that movie, Zeus has multiple lightning bolts. Like, he can create lightning bolts. So I don't know if it's similar where that was just one he was using. So then, of course, then it could be picked up by multiple people, or if it's like just a different kind of magic. I don't really know.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's a different kind of magic because, like, I think in the first movie with Thor, his dad said, like, you have to be worthy or the hammer won't pick you because the hammer picks you. So I guess,
Yes. No, it was after the whole arena scene where Gore is talking to the kids because then Gore reveals that he took the kids as a ruse and that he wasn't going to hurt them, but he just wanted to take them because he knew it would draw Thor, which I was like, well, duh. Like that part, I was like, I guess it really makes the message clear and like makes sense to tell the kids, but I was like, okay, like obviously that's
everyone knew that.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any comments for the scene when they're like going through the sky and they're like talking on the boat?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that needed to happen at some point, and I think it made sense when it happened when it did because of the scene that follows after at the Shadow Planet.
Yes.
But yeah, I was like, okay, and I think it makes sense. It made sense that they like kissed. Because it felt almost like a desperate thing, like, why have we been so stupid? Like, I have such a limited time, like, whatever. So that part I understood, and I'm glad we had that conversation when we did. I also liked seeing Korg and Valkyrie's, like, relationship. Like, I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't have a lot to say about that scene, but I guess it was significant in the sense that like Jane finally tells Thor.
Yes. And I did like it. I mean, I don't have a lot of comments, but I do like that that's the first time it's finally slowed down and they can finally talk because they tried to talk in the middle of the first battle in New Asgard and obviously that didn't work out. So it was just nice to actually get like a breather and have them like sit and talk. It's been like 8 years, you know?
Right? Yeah, I agree. And then that's when they go to the Shadow Planet, right? This was terrifying to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is when I really felt that Gore was like a creepy villain. Like I felt like he was menacing. Like when he came out of the shadows and then he had them all tied up and went to them one by one in such a cocky way and was like, Valkyrie, what if I did this, this, and this? And then she just got taken into the shadows. And then Jane, here's your worst fears and let me tell you all this crappy stuff. You go into the shadows. Yeah. And then of course that's when he goes up to Thor. And you can talk about what happens next because I kind of forgot.
I mean, I kind of forget too, but he basically is just like, he doesn't even, I don't know if he taunts Thor like he taunted the other two, but all he literally says is, call the hammer. Like, call the hammer. Call the hammer. Like, literally call the hammer right now. And you can see Thor getting pissed. He's like, no, I'm not going to freaking do it. And that's when Gore brings out Valkyrie and Jane as like bargaining chips, you know. But I will say the cinematography for this was gorgeous.
Incredible.
Absolutely gorgeous. I love that it was all black and white, and that the only light that we got was from the hammers that they had, which I was like, wow, that speaks a lot to like the power of the hammer and like where they are. And it's just like, it was really powerful without even trying to be.
Yes, exactly.
I loved it.
That's such a good point.
I'm like going back because I keep I'm
thinking
going
about
ahead
this scene because I forgot a lot of things, so I apologize.
No, it's okay. As I'm thinking about the scene, I keep remembering like, oh, like this and this and this. When the goats crashed into the planet.
That was hilarious.
I did not expect that.
Neither did I.
I was like,
but again, it could have been so stupid, but somehow they made it so funny.
Yes.
Like, God.
It was literally so random, but I was like, oh, I guess they just crashed into the planet. I will say I finally got the tension and the stakes when Gore started like suffocating both Valkyrie and Jane. Because before, I think when he was like coming out of the shadows, I just felt like he was like really menacing. And I was like, well, what are you going to do? Like you have three really powerful and skilled warriors. Like, what are you going to do? You're here alone. Yes, I know he has the shadows, but I'm like, I don't feel like you're a threat yet. Yeah. But then when he finally got Valkyrie and Jane and started suffocating them, I was like, oh, you're just gonna kill people in front of Thor. And again, Thor has lost literally everyone, so he's not gonna risk losing them. So that's where I kind of finally felt the tension in that scene. Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is too is like he's not one of those villains who wouldn't have actually killed them. He fully was about to kill them if he didn't get what he wanted.
Yep, exactly. And then the battle ensues, which I love, by the way. I think it was really nicely done.
Yes. Me too.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think about the battle and if there's anything else. When freaking Gore stabbed Valkyrie through the middle, I thought she was dead.
They did that too many times throughout that movie.
I
thought Korg was dead, then I thought Valkyrie was dead. But I like how Jane and like Thor had the unspoken agreement. They're like, we have to get her out of here. Yes. Okay, I'll handle this on my own. Done. And then Jane and Valkyrie flew away.
Yeah. And then obviously the scene ends with Gore getting Stormbreaker, which I saw coming anyways. Like I knew that was going to happen, but it just sucked.
I know. I saw that coming too because I was like, well, obviously the movie's not done yet, but there has to be some sort of new challenge or like extra push. Yeah. So I think it made sense.
Yeah. Okay, this also brings me to the whole eternity point, right? That's what it's called. Where was this in Endgame? And
that's the plot hole I was going to talk about at the end.
I'm sorry. If people know where it is, like, okay, maybe you didn't know that Stormbreaker, like, could open it, but you knew that it existed. If Thanos knew that it existed, why didn't he just go to eternity and ask?
Yeah, 100%. It makes no sense. So that's what I don't... Oh, go ahead.
Or I was going to say, is it because only gods know that eternity exists?
But
is that it?
Why wouldn't have Thor brought that up then and made that the solution?
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that at all either.
Yeah.
So I hope we get an explanation at some point, whether it be in a movie or in an interview somewhere. Yeah. But I just like that just didn't make sense to me. And also, I feel like in these new shows and movies, we're getting a lot of these like in Loki, like the end of time or whatever, or the timekeeper, right? And then now we get eternity, and then we get the soul place. I'm just like, how many of these different life-changing places are there?
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, isn't there one center of eternity, one center of time? Like, wouldn't they be the same place?
I have no clue. But it's interesting because it's like they keep bringing these things in for each movie as a plot device, which I understand you need to have an arc in the individual movies, but then you need to be able to address it in these bigger movies like Avengers or anything like that, because then it it makes room for plot holes of like, well, why don't we just do that in the first place? You know?
Exactly. And then I wonder, like, are these places all the same thing in different multiverses? Or like, what happens if people in different multiverses go to eternity at the same time and do something?
Yeah.
Or is like the center of eternity the same in every multiverse because it's the center of the you know what I mean?
Like
I just don't fully understand.
There's multiple timelines, but is there multiple eternities, or is there one eternity that all of the timelines go to? Like it just like there's a lot, you know? Exactly.
I don't even understand what I'm saying. Like I don't. It's so it doesn't make any sense. But again, I hope somehow these things all start to tie together. And I feel like we said that the same as the Multiverse of Madness, which the one thing I'll say, I did appreciate that Thor Love and Thunder was like a good standalone film. Like, yes, they had these little like things, but they didn't make us expect that we're going to see all these things, right? But I do hope with all the shows and movies, they come together soon because I just don't see how they're connected right now.
I mean, I'm not surprised that it hasn't been connected yet because this is technically phase 5 and it'll take a bit of foundation to like finally get to the pinpoint of phase 5 to then move into phase 6. So I'm okay with just like chilling right now.
All right. I'm just craving another Avengers like movie. Like I want to see all the new people interact. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the next thing we see is obviously Valkyrie's healing or whatever. But then Jane goes back to Earth and is in the hospital, right? And that's when him and Jane have the conversation. Like, Jane, like, I want to have a chance with you. Like, you need to get better because if you use the hammer again,
that's it.
You're done. Yeah, like you're done. And so that was really, really sad. And I think that's when I felt like the desperation or the love between them the most. Like it took me a while to get there, but I was like, okay, I agree. I can understand it a little better now.
I agree. And I think what broke me in that scene was Thor admitting that he loved her. Like, do you know how scary that is to admit when he has lost literally every single person he has ever loved in a span of like literally 7 movies? Like that's crazy to me. Literally. Crazy that he's like still able to like admit that he like loves someone and is not afraid to say it, but is also very like cautious of like, you're not going anywhere. Like I need you to be okay. That really broke my heart.
It broke my heart. Also, speaking of people he lost, I forgot to mention this earlier. I thought it was freaking hilarious when Thor was naked in the arena and we saw his back tattoos of Loki. What?
Ridiculous.
I thought it was so funny. Sorry. Not necessarily the time to bring it up when we're talking about like Jane literally on her deathbed, but like I just thought that was so funny.
Rip Loki.
Yeah, literally rip Loki. It's so funny. But no, you're 100% correct in that, like, how scary it is for him to say that, especially when he's lost, like, so, like, everybody.
Yeah, literally everyone.
Like, I would be going through a crisis, like an identity crisis if I were him too. It's like, I'm supposed to be this leader. I'm supposed to be the god of thunder. Like, I'm one of the most powerful people out there, yet I can't protect the people who mean most to me. So what can I do? Exactly. So, like, I think while this movie was, like, really funny, I also think it did the serious moments well.
I agree.
Okay, the final battle. I loved this more than just about anything. Like,
really?
I mean, that's a little dramatic, but I love this scene so much, like, because I just thought he's like, okay, I saved the kids. This is great. But now he's like, there's no way. I'm literally by myself right now. Yeah. There's no way that I can get them out of here. So, like, what can I do? And I think that's when I was like, I fully bought into the theme of his speeches because he did the same thing to those kids. And he's like, and they're all like, what are you talking about? And he's like, just go pick up a random thing. Yeah. And so they all picked up their random things. And then he gave them all the power. And I just thought it was so cute to see him interacting with the kids, you know?
I liked it because it it did set up what is to come at the end of the movie, you know, kind of how they left it with, you know, I'm not going to jump to that, but I like how they set it up and, you know, how he had more interaction with the kids in this movie than he has in any other movie. So I really liked it, and it definitely made sense. I just want to say that let's table that for a second. One second. I love that we saw a celestial on the way to eternity. Did you see that?
No. What's a celestial?
Remember in the Eternals, the like guy that like comes out of the planet, that's a celestial. The thing that dropped on the kids was the head of a celestial.
Shut up.
Yes. It was green, though. It was green. So I'm not sure what celestial it was, though. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? So what does that mean?
So maybe they're finally starting to tie in.
Yes.
Because I've been wondering, like, the Eternals are these big things. They've been doing legit nothing while Thanos is about to destroy the universe. So, like, what makes them so special? How do they tie? I
think they play a greater hand than just Earth. I mean, obviously we know that. But I'm intrigued to see how they come into play in the gods, right? Because again, I'm not going to jump to the post-credit scene, but I want to see if the Celestials do have some sort of relationship with the gods or with eternity or whatever it is. So I thought that was really clever that they added that in.
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
I'm shook. See, those are the little moments that I never realize, I feel like, until someone points out to me. Yeah. But that's what gives me so much, like, hope for what they're leading up till. Because it's exactly what they did in the first whole chunk up until Endgame. It's like, you didn't even realize what they were doing until it came up later. And I feel like that's one of those moments where it's going to come up later and we're going to be like, holy crap. Yes. You know?
Yeah. Definitely. So I really, I couldn't even focus because I was like, that's a celestial. No one's going to say anything about the celestial. Okay. One other thing that
Is this the thing you just tabled?
No, this is a different thing. Okay. But I wasn't going to bring it up, but I think it was just so big that I think I have to bring it up. And I apologize in advance if it ruins the scene for you because you love this scene so much.
No.
I'm sorry, but I literally could not stop thinking about it. So first off, love the slow-mo shot that we got of Thor and Axel when they like kind of banded together, right? And they got the powers and they're like, let's go and fight, yada, yada, yada. And there's like this really awesome slow-mo shot of Thor and Axel kind of coming down on all of these like shadow creatures. Mm-hmm. I will take those, but I just couldn't help to ignore, well, I couldn't ignore the underlining commentary that this like fight scene gave off, and they probably didn't intend for it to happen, and I knew they were trying to make it like lighthearted and funny, but the idea of kids fighting sits really wrong with me in a time that we have like school shootings constantly. And the fact no, you go.
No, I was going to say I actually read it totally differently. I thought there was underlining meaning there too. So I picked up on it. But what I took it as is like kids are the future. They're the ones doing the good fight now because all these older people don't do anything, don't take care of the planet, don't take care of anything. Like they won't pass gun laws when it's literally affecting kids the most. So kids have to fight for themselves because these other people aren't doing anything. Yeah. So like, so that's how I took it, as more of like a positive spin. But I understand what you're saying too.
Yeah. I literally like could not get it out of my head while watching this scene, which is unfortunate because it ruined the scene for me because I was like, this is so great. It's like the big final battle. All I could think about is these freaking kids fighting. But it just like, I don't know, it just like didn't sit right with me, and like the commentary that it had, because it's like schools are training and telling kids to fight if like a shooter comes in, which first of all, no, why is that a thing? And second of all, why can't we just let kids be kids? Like I hate that we're forcing these adult things onto these tiny humans when it's adults who should be taking the burden of it.
100%.
And I think that's what I was just like thinking of when I was watching the scene. I was like,
sure.
Why are these stupid kids fighting? Like, I need more adults to step up. Like, this is ridiculous.
Sure. Yeah. No, and so I totally agree.
Yeah.
And luckily I thought of that in a more positive way, which is why I like enjoyed it. But if I had that initial reaction like you did, I would have been bothered by that too. So I think there are different ways of looking at it. So and I'm curious if I'm going to have to go and watch some interviews, because I guarantee Taika Waititi did not do that on purpose.
Oh, no.
You know,
I doubt
it. And I guarantee he probably meant it in a good way. But I also think there's a lot of things in this film that he slid in there as like commentary that he wanted to do in a way that didn't take away from like the film. So definitely. But that's so interesting to hear your perspective on that, because I didn't even like think of it in that negative way. I mean, I thought of it in a sad way, like, why should kids have to do this themselves? Why should they have to wait to grow up to be able to make the change that they want to see? Yeah. But like at the same time, I'm like, I saw it as like, wow, kids are so powerful, and like it gives me like hope for the future. So,
yeah,
like,
yours was like definitely empowering. Mine was just like, this is dumb. Like, why do we have to keep doing this?
Yeah, literally.
Getting to the thing that I tabled.
Yes.
I knew that Jane would come to the battle.
Oh, I knew 100%. Like, I saw that coming a mile away.
I blame Jonathan, okay? The hammer.
Yeah.
You didn't have to call me. I was laying in bed.
Right? Literally. I was so heartbroken, but I also thought this was so pivotal for Thor's growth, because he was like heartbroken to see her there, but he didn't have a conversation or try to force her where he's like, you know what? Jane made this decision. Yeah. This is what she wants to do, and we're going to do this last thing together.
I know.
Sorry. And like,
it's heartbreaking. You can see it on his face when she lands in the space with them. And I'm just like, oh, like his heart just sinking. Like, oh my God.
Sorry, I'm like unwell. The end of this movie like made me unwell.
You're okay.
The way that they wrap it up, which we'll talk about in a second, I think it made sense. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So then obviously they ruin the sword, which is awesome. Like, good for you guys. But then obviously they make it to eternity or whatever, or the center of the universe. This scene, all three of them are I cannot, like, again, I'm sorry to say the same thing 500 times. I have a habit of doing that sometimes. But, like, they're acting, all three of them, like, it felt so real. In this magical world, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. It felt so tangible, like their pain and their emotions felt so tangible. And I love that. I mean, okay, again, I'm not going to say that it was a plot hole, because a part of me understands how Gore got to his decision to wish for his daughter. But a part of me thought it was a little plot hole, because I was like, you're talking to him and you just got you got him to change his decision. But we also have to remember that the sword was poisoning him and killing him, which is why he couldn't think straight. So which is why I'm like, okay, I understand, but I don't understand, but I do understand.
No, but I get the back and forth the next. It's like, do I want to buy into this? I don't know. And it's like, if you decide to buy into it, then it's like fantastic. But if you don't, then I understand why some people might have a hard time with that. So. But I thought it was really cool how Jane really showed like her empathy in that moment and all of that. And what did you think about Thor doing that last kind of like speech where he's like, you're going to do what you're going to do. I'm going to spend my last moments with the person I love and blah, blah, blah. What did you think of that?
I was like, oh my God. I was like, that feels like such a big shift for him. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame him, because after all the shit that he's been through, I would want to be with someone at the end as well. And I think he's learned that too after what happened in Infinity War, you know?
Yep.
And so I didn't I didn't blame him. It was very ballsy and very risky because, again, Gorr could have done whatever he wanted to do. But I was very happy that he was like, you know what? If this is my end, then I'm going to go out the way that I want to go out. And then he went to Jane, and I was like, oh my God.
That was too much.
Yeah.
I was like crying this whole last scene. Did Jane and Thor have their last conversation after Gorr died?
No, it was
before.
It was before, as he was like trying to determine what he wanted to do.
That's what I thought. I thought their last conversation was so heartbreaking but beautiful.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think it gave Jane the perfect ending.
Yes.
Like, I think that, like, yes, of course you wish, like, oh, she would have stayed alive and they could have lived happily ever after what Thor's been through. But, like,
yeah,
I thought it was really beautiful and she was at peace with it. And the fact that he could find peace with that shows huge character development on his part, I think.
Oh, 100%. I was just pissed that he had to lose another person again. Literally, like, tally up all the people that he's lost in each movie, and it's more and more than any of the Avengers ever. Like, it's like maybe Wanda has tied with him. Like, you know, like, it's insane. Can we give him a break? I don't understand.
I know.
When will this stop?
But then Gorr sacrifices himself for his daughter.
Yeah.
And then we get the cute scene.
I will say, I thought it was very interesting, but also very sweet that Gorr was like, if I wish for her, she's going to be alone. And Thor was like, no, she's not. And I was like, wait, what do you mean she's not going to be? Is she going to, like, live in New Asgard with, like, other people? Like, oh, like, what does that mean? And then the end scene just, like, made me so happy because I didn't see that coming, but it makes sense with all of the kids he had interacted with in the movie.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But also, at one point during the movie, I forget when he said it, Korg said, I think Thor will be a great dad.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that was absolute foreshadowing
Yep.
to now. And I mean, it makes sense now that I figured this out after the movie that, like, Love was Chris Hemsworth's daughter in real life, but their chemistry was so good and so funny. Like,
yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was so funny seeing Thor in a dad mode, but now that knowing that it's his daughter, it's 100% just him. It's just Chris being a dad. Like, literally. Like, it makes so much fun because, like, at the end, that end scene, he felt so much more relaxed and kind of not a bad different, a good different, especially after losing Jane. Exactly. That's why I was like, that's so, I mean, like, good for him that he had this shift, but it's also because it was his literal daughter in this scene, which I thought was just so cute.
So cute. And then I love, of course, they do one last slow-mo, but they're both going up at the same time. I thought that was so special.
Yeah.
And I just loved it.
Yeah.
Was that and I love, of course, Korg's narrating at the end.
I'm sorry.
And I love how Love and Thunder wasn't Jane and Thor's love.
Yes.
And the God of Thunder. I was not expecting that, and I thought that was brilliant. Love is his, like, daughter.
Yeah.
You know?
It was the perfect ending because I was wondering, I was like, where are we getting this name? Thor, Love, and Thunder. What does that mean? And Korg tied it up so well at the end. I was like, this is adorable. Can we talk about Korg making a stone baby with a guy he met at the end? Did you remember that?
Yes. I was like,
Korg.
Cool off, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the rock people are just different.
Yes.
And he's like, well, I don't understand how, because he was talking to Valkyrie about that too, and he was like, are you gonna go to the field with this woman and make a rock baby?
Hold hands?
Like, fully didn't he didn't understand how that works for non-rock people. It was so
funny
and
so funny. Like, of course Korg, like, is explaining this when it's so unnecessary, dude.
But it makes sense for him, you know?
So hilarious.
So hilarious. But yeah, that's literally the end of the movie, right?
Yeah. I love it, though. I thought it was a perfect ending.
Yeah. I did, too. And then I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. I was like, I felt like everything wrapped up perfectly. Yeah. What are they going to do for the end credits? The first end credit, I freaked out when Zeus was alive. I was like,
me too.
Oh. But that sets up the next movie perfectly. Like, you know, Zeus is gonna come after him, which is sad because I didn't want Zeus to be a villain.
I know.
But I guess maybe he was in the comics. I don't really know, but
we also got Hercules.
I don't know if I love who they casted for Hercules. Like, he doesn't give off like it's just not the impression I have of Hercules. But again, I'm not going to say too much because I haven't seen him act the character. I haven't seen like anything, but I know a lot of people are excited about, I think his name is Brett Goldstein because he's in Ted Lasso.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, again, I think that was my knee-jerk reaction too with seeing Hercules, because I was like, oh, that's not who I envisioned. But again, I think we need to understand that they took Zeus in a whole different direction that we didn't expect. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took Hercules in a different direction that we don't expect either. And I'm okay with that because it is the MCU. So I understand that it's different sides of this like iconic character that we're gonna see, you know?
And again, they have to do it in a way we buy into. With Zeus, even though it was way different than what I was expecting, I bought into it, right?
100%.
But like, so I'm hoping they do the same with Hercules. But I kind of have a feeling Hercules is gonna turn good. Like, I don't think, like, I feel like maybe he'll start the fight on Zeus's side, but maybe he'll turn into, like, a good hero.
Yeah, I could see him.
I have, like, a prediction.
I could see him being friends with Thor, like, really good friends.
Totally. And then the second end credit scene, when Jane like, as soon as she landed, I was like, she's in Valhalla.
Me too.
And that's what, like, because she died an honorable death, right? And then when Heimdall showed up and said, thank you for taking care of my son, because I don't feel like we ever totally got closure with his death.
Yes, exactly.
So then seeing his son and then seeing Jane and him together, these people that Thor have lost, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it gives me chills just thinking
that
about
they're
it.
okay. Like, yes, they're gone, but they are A-okay. And I love that. And I do agree that we did not get any closure for Heimdall at all, literally. Like, he just died on a ship with Thanos. Like, that was it. And so I love that he made even just like the tiniest appearance to give us closure, be like, he's okay. He's okay.
Like, no, I think it makes sense for Heimdall to be the one to be there. Like, because he's the gatekeeper, you know? He's the one who welcomed Jane into, so I thought it was so well done.
The other person I would argue is that we need Loki, but again, we have a show for him, so he's still kind of living in a different timeline, so I don't think it would have made sense.
I think Loki and Thor are going to meet again somehow. I think so too. I think so too. How, but I just feel like there's no way that Loki's having this own show and Thor keeps going, and I just don't see a universe where they never have a way to communicate again.
So that was another thing that I wanted to talk about. I thought it was interesting that they said that Thor will return. He is the last of the OG to still stick around because Hawkeye is done. Yeah, Hawkeye is done after his show on Disney Plus. Thor is still sticking around, so I'm just really intrigued. I was like, this is very interesting. I wonder if it's because Chris wants to stay. I wonder if it's because Thor has a greater arc within the next phase of Marvel, but I don't know. I'm just intrigued because he's the only one left.
I know. I'm so curious how they'll bring it in, which is why I'm like, maybe they'll do one more Thor movie, or maybe Thor will help lead the new Avengers, or like kind of be the one to start that. And also, where the heck is Nick Fury? Where has he been?
Yeah, he's been literally absent since Infinity War, Endgame, I want to say. But again, it's the theory that he's in the moon right now with those aliens.
Oh, yeah. He's going to show up, though, eventually.
I know he is. I can't wait for him to just drop by.
I have so many questions, like, when are these things going to come together? What is Thor's next story going to be?
Yeah.
Is he going to have one final movie with Hercules and Zeus? And then if Hercules ends up turning good, is Hercules going to be one of the new characters that's going to tie in later? So then he'll kind of take over that, and then Thor will be done. We don't know.
Exactly. And then also it begs the question too that we saw that Celestial, how are the Eternals going to play into this? How does Thor play with the Eternals and all of these gods? So it's like a part of me thinks that he still has a bigger role in all of this.
I agree. So I'm just curious what that is going to be.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like I needed this movie after Multiverse of Madness because I was really, really disappointed with that movie. But this just got me so excited about like the MCU again. Do you have anything else to say about the movie? I guess
no,
to like
I don't.
wrap up.
No.
Okay. Have you seen Miss Marvel yet?
I have not, but I've literally heard so many good reviews of it.
Yeah, I will say I think initially it was not getting the watch time or good reviews because the first episode I was like, I don't really know. But once it gets into episode 2, probably 3, I was like sold.
Really?
So I think you just have to give it a second to like kick up.
Okay.
So I definitely recommend watching that.
Yeah, no, and I understand too because with Ms. Marvel, they were targeting a younger audience, which I think is also interesting. And pivoting, kind of reaching the younger people to join the MCU versus all the people who have literally been here for so long.
There's this one character in Ms. Marvel, Bruno, that I need to meet Spider-Man.
Really?
Because they kind of have the same, like, Bruno reminds me what Peter Parker was in the first Spider-Man movie.
Cute.
Like,
that's cute.
Yeah, so But anyways, I'm just so excited. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, is Miss Marvel in Brooklyn? Or where is she? San Francisco?
She is in Jersey.
Oh, okay. Got it. I feel like everything happens up there.
It does. Why isn't an Avenger from Minnesota? Let's talk about it. Come on. But overall, I'm really excited to see like what the MCU does next. And I'm like totally really getting sold on the next phase. I was so unsure, but now I'm like fully in it. So
well, you know what? The next movie that's on the docket for Marvel is Black Panther, which I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I think it's going to be really hard to watch, but I know that they're taking so much care of it after Chadwick Boseman died. So I'm just looking forward to see what they decided as far as like who's going to take over the mantle.
Yep.
But what's our next episode, Selena?
So our next episode, we will be talking about another movie, but it's a new movie that's going to be released on Netflix called Persuasion. Yes. It's a Jane Austen novel adapted to a movie, and it has our favorite girl, Dakota Johnson.
Yes, I love her.
It's kind of like the Regency era, like Bridgerton-esque Pride and Prejudice. So I'm very excited.
I'm excited too.
It looks really good, but the fact that it's also a Jane Austen novel, I'm like sold already.
I actually on July 3rd, I watched Pride and Prejudice for the first time. The Keira Knightley version.
Oh, shut up! No, you didn't.
I know. So I was not like sold on it totally.
Really? We have to watch it again together.
People are going to be so mad. I know. And that's what everyone's saying. Like, you need to watch it again or something.
Yes.
But because I felt like it was just hard with their accents and how fast they were talking, I just didn't fully understand the plot and like the tension.
Yeah.
Like,
you have to watch it a couple
times. The tension's
times.
going to make you freak out. I didn't feel it at all.
I think
they were like, it's like Bridgerton and blah, blah. I'm like, girl, no, it's not.
I think because Bridgerton is so modernized that switching to Pride and Prejudice that is very, very true to the Regency era, which I think as well, Persuasion looks a little more modern as well. So I'm going to be intrigued to see how that goes. But Pride and Prejudice is like very Regency era, like just like so, oh my God, no, that movie is my comfort movie. I love it so much. You have to watch it again. You have to give it another try.
Watch it again.
It's, oh my God, I love it so much.
But yes, very excited to talk about that movie next week. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.